Welcome to the finale of this little mini-series I'm doing on this channel, Race to the Top. If you don't know what it is, I'll leave the first two episodes that I've done in the description. But we find ourselves in the championship with both of the Manchester sides. In this episode, I'll recap their championship season and their return to the Premier League. Spoiler, they get back to the Premier League. And we'll see who wins the Race to the Top. But just before we get into all of that, if you enjoy my content, please leave a like and subscribe if you are new. I upload videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, so if you're looking for some good consistent content, I'm your guy. But let's get into it. At the end of their championship season, Manchester City have finally won a trophy, or the league trophy, over Manchester United. Man United have come second quite convincingly, and then Watford in third place. Newcastle just living in this division pains me, and I kind of see that coming next year, but it's not the point. Manchester City have finally beat Man United in the league position yet, but it doesn't matter in terms of the race to the top. I think the winner is who finishes higher in the Premier League next season, but for this season, let's see how they got on. Just looking at their championship form, obviously they won the league and they did very well, but their form is insane. They did not really lose a game at all until here at home at Stoke for whatever reason. I think the reason is someone got sent off, and that's probably why they lost, because in Football Manager it's impossible sometimes. And then again, they lost at Reading. Just a weird one for them, but they're pretty much flawless. They only lost 2 games and drew 1 game, and 1 draw was against United, so we'll give them that. Looking at the Carabao Cup, they have made it to the 3rd round this year and got eliminated by Sheffield United on penalties. I'm not sure why they're struggling so much in the cup competition sometimes, but it's just interesting to see what happens, you know. In the FA Cup, they did manage to make it all the way to the quarter-final, but they lost to Liverpool. That's a bit more respectable than losing to Sheffield United, no disrespect, but Man City should still be beating sides like Sheffield United, but they did lose to Liverpool. They were in the Club World Cup, I think. And then they lost in the final to Real Madrid. Yeah, I mean, again, you can kind of forgive them for that. They did beat Barcelona and Liverpool while playing sides like Brentford, Birmingham and Rotherham, just on their weekly fixtures, you know. Something I didn't check last time, I don't think, was their managers. So Pep Guardiola is still here. Let's have a look at their transfers. We'll sort it by fee because it's just easier. Declan Rice left to Juventus after joining from West Ham. Laporte has finally left to Liverpool. Johnny left to West Ham. No one really that major after that. They've kept hold of Kevin De Bruyne this whole time, which I think is genuinely impressive because he's just wasting his prime years in the Championship, but so be it. In terms of the ins, they've actually spent a good 300 million this year. They've got Jota from Liverpool, Mancini from Roma, Joe Gomez from Liverpool as well, Odriozola maybe from Bayern Munich, and Pellegrini from Juventus. It really threw me off. Zebra just confused my brain, and Castagna from Leicester. So they've actually spent, and Juan Hernandez from Watford. They've spent quite a lot, Man City, this year. Maybe that is illustrated here in their little resurgence over Man United, but Man United have also done very, very well, as you'd expect them to. And speaking of Man United, both of the teams have just stuck it out in the lower leagues. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't care about League 1 or League 2. Even the Championship, he's happy here. Let's have a look at their fixtures. So they, like City, had a very strong run. Not as strong as City. They drew to Nottingham Forest. They lost away to Man City, which is fine. Then they lost 3-1 away to Luton. But again, you see this player getting sent off being a massive factor in that. Draw with Sheffield Wednesday. They lost to Watford. No real excuse I can give them there. It's just a bad day. Drew to Blackburn. Well, Blackburn had 10 men as well, so yikes. They probably should have won that. And they also drew to Man City. Can't fault them too much. So Man United managed to make it all the way to the Carabao Cup final, but lost to Arsenal. There's no real shame there, so at least they've done a bit better than City in the Cups, I think. Let's check the FA Cup. Yeah, they made it to the semi-final and lost on penalties to Chelsea. Like, at least Man United have kind of lost to teams you'd expect them to maybe lose to. Man City just didn't turn up against Sheffield United, you know. Man United did have European football this season, and they've made it all the way to the final and beat Tottenham 3-0, so they get Champions League football next year, and have managed to bring in more silverware than City to this point, which is genuinely quite interesting. They beat Everton along the way, Tottenham in the final, Lille, Marseille. They beat some decent teams, so happy days for them. Even though they're in the Championship, they're keeping their reputation up by making Europe, so that's interesting. Maybe the money they bring in will help more, but they're both very rich sides as it is. Having a quick look at their transfers as well. They lost Wan-Bissaka to Arsenal, Hannibal to Burnley, Brandon Williams for 17 million to Chelsea, Andres Pereira to Norwich. No one too big really here. I mean, Wan-Bissaka's a big loss actually, but other than that, not too much. They've not spent anywhere near the amount that City did, but 86 million is still a lot for the Championship. They brought in Hector Bellerin from Real Madrid, George Baldock from... what an interesting signing. Let's have a look at his stats. No, they're not that bad. George Baldock from Sheffield United, Musa Barrow. No one too amazing. City have definitely done more on the transfer front this season at least. In terms of player performances, I'll check City's in a minute because I didn't do it. But Bruno Fernandes continues to put up ridiculous numbers in 55 or 58 appearances. He has 15 goals, 28 assists. Rashford had 29 goals this season and 8 assists. Pogba, 17 goals, 26 assists. That's just insane. A lot of these players are getting a lot of goals and assists, and their average ratings are obviously amazing because they've played so well. Who's got you sorted by goals? Martial's got 24 goals. I don't think anyone else has stood out too much. Maybe I'm missing something on the screen. Feel free to tell me, but I don't think there are. Let me check City. And looking at Man City's players, Gabriel Jesus has 20 goals, 3 assists. Juan Hernandez, 17 goals, 3 assists. Phil Foden, 13 goals, 11 assists. I'd kind of expect him to do better, but his average rating is really high. There's a couple of good people in here. James Maddison's played alright. Kevin De Bruyne, 11 goals, 16 assists. You would expect him to get more than that if Bruno Fernandes is just destroying the league, but maybe not. His stats are obviously still amazing. He's still here for another 2 years as well. Anyone else that I'm missing? I don't think so. Adrian Feen had 10 assists, but other than that, nothing too amazing. I'm going to jump forward now to the final year, and we can see who's finally won this little mini-series that I've been doing, called Race to the Top. Who is going to finish in the higher league position? I'll be impressed if any of them actually manage to win the league, but I think City will do better just because of the amount they spent this season, but we never know. Man United have been winning stuff, so let's have a look, buddy. Before we check this is your reminder to leave a like on this video, please. I can see Newcastle still in the Championship, so yikes. But anyway, let's see where they finished. We're back in the Premier League, and Man City are the winners. They finished second, somewhere off City in first, but 83 points on your return after being in League 2 3 years ago is pretty good, even if we are Man City. Man United are 6th. I did expect them to do better than that, but to be fair, they're quite, I guess they're like the best of the rest, you know. They are a good 7 points ahead of 7th place, so that is interesting to find that United didn't do as well, but I guess we can check why in a second. We'll start with Man City. Oh, Pep left. Where has he gone? Alright, I'm going to click this and find out where Pep went, because he's managing League 2, League 1 and the Championship, and he's what? Nah, don't fancy it anymore. The Premier League's not for me. He's unemployed. He just left. Why has he done that then? What? I'm confused. Anyway, back to Man City. They've got Hans Dieter Flick, maybe? They've got a new manager anyway, so I find that interesting. I didn't expect Pep to be gone. Let's have a look at their fixtures. We'll keep the same kind of structure. Looking at Man City's fixtures, they did start their return to the Premier League at home to Man United, which is an interesting first game, but they did come out on top. Had a decent enough start. Their first loss came at West Ham. Then they lost back-to-back games, Tottenham and Chelsea. I mean, they're losing to like the bigger teams. They lost convincingly to Liverpool, convincingly to Arsenal. Then they lost against Man United. You can see their bad kind of run of form for them, I guess. Lost a silly game to Watford, dropped points at Everton, Leeds and Liverpool. But other than that, they just won a lot of games. They've only drew, what, 2 games? Interesting. I don't know what I expected. I expected them to come back into this division and do very well, but I didn't expect them to lose like silly games to West Ham and stuff. But I guess the lower leagues have taken their toll. They continue to struggle in the Carabao Cup. They only made it to the quarterfinals all right, but they lost to Man United. So Man United got a bit of revenge there. Dennis Mann scoring. They did a bit better in the FA Cup this season, but they did lose in extra time to Liverpool in the FA Cup. And I forgot they weren't in Europe, were they? So I guess the league was their main focus, and they finished second. They're back in the Champions League for next year. We're not going to sim that. There's no point. Interesting to see what they've prioritised. They've clearly prioritised the league a bit. In terms of their transfers, they had a couple out, nothing too special. They did spend another 160 million. Reece Nelson was their big transfer from Arsenal. Then Dusan Vlahovic from Fiorentina. This guy, Yari, let's just call him Yari from Anderlecht, always goes for huge money. And he does turn into quite a good player from Anderlecht, so that's something to keep an eye on. You can get him for free sometimes, fun fact. Anyway, they had a couple more signings, nothing too special. Was there anyone that has won the outside? Did Kevin De Bruyne stay? I'm genuinely curious. I guess we'll find out by looking at it like this. I mean, Gabriel Jesus consistently put up just below 20 goals, 17 goals, 4 assists. Dusan, we're going to call him, played all right. Kevin De Bruyne did stay that whole time. 47 appearances, 10 goals, 15 assists. In the Premier League, very good. No one stood out too much in terms of their individual accolades other than Kevin De Bruyne. I'm baffled that he stayed the whole time, but he's still an absolute beast for them. I'm still genuinely baffled that Pep Guardiola left as they got back to the Premier League, but who knew? Let's check on Man United and let's see if they still have Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We'll find out together because I'm about to click it. So he stayed the whole time. Interesting, their finances are okay actually. Let me just double check. Yeah, City is still rich. Maybe the financial toll of the League 2, League 1 Championship has actually hit United harder than City. Okay, starting with the Premier League, Man United, like we saw a minute ago, they lost 3-1 to Man City on the opening day of the season. Then they drew with Burnley, managed to get a win at Norwich. Couple draws. Their form wasn't great to start the season, but they did pick it back up. They're losing to teams like West Ham, Tottenham, I guess are respectable to lose against. Lost to Liverpool, dropping points at Brighton, Arsenal. Losing to Chelsea, Watford and Southampton, that pretty much probably sealed their fate. They've done alright on their return. Like I said, the finances have probably had a bit of a factor in how they've played, because Man City can just spend money and still finish second after being relegated all those divisions, but clearly Man United have struggled a bit more in this division. Carabao Cup, they made it all the way to the semi-final. West Ham were just their bogey team for whatever reason. They lost both games. In the FA Cup, they lost to Manchester City in the fifth round. I can't read. They did have the European Super Cup because they won the Europa League, and they managed to beat the Champions League winners in Inter Milan and won 3-2. So they've continued to add to their silverware. And in the Champions League, they made it all the way to the semi-final, but they did lose to Barcelona on away goals, so not too bad. Looking at their transfers, they sold Mohamed El Nussi. Wasn't I baffled when they brought him in for like 40 million, 50 million? They sold him for 20 million, so, you know, is what it is. Scott McTominay left for Ajax. No one too notable after that. They did spend a good 120 or 115 million. They brought in Pedro Goncalves from Sporting, looks very solid, basically Bruno Fernandes 2.0. Dennis Mann from Burnley. He looks alright. I don't know if he's worth the money they paid, but it's fine. It's the world of football these days. And two more people, but nothing too special. Guendouzi from Barcelona is interesting. So the answer of who wins the race to the top, if I relegate both Manchester sides to the bottom, or say the bottom League 2, Man City win the race back. Man United did win League 2 and League 1, but when it came to the bigger leagues like the Championship and the Premier League, Man City did finish on top. Man City have managed to maintain some level of good play, finishing second in the Premier League. United fell off a bit, but Man City's money is better off, I think, than them, so that's probably why. Something I did want to check is where Morecambe and Mansfield went, so they were the teams I put back into the Premier League instead of the Manchester sides, if you didn't know. So as you can see by this graph, Mansfield had a free fall. They finished 19th, 22nd and 24th, but they did bounce back and managed to win League 2, so they're going back up to League 1, and their finances rich, I bet they are, yeah, because they would have got a lot of money from being relegated or being in the Premier League. And Morecambe managed to finish 9th, nothing too special. They also should be rich, which they are, but like I said with these graphics, they finished 20th, 23rd and 22nd. I'm surprised they've managed to fall all that way, because they would have had a good bit of money, but it is what it is. I'm going to leave it here. I don't think there's anything else I need to check, unless I'm completely blanking. Tottenham won the Premier League just last season, which is interesting as well. Just noticed that. But Man City did win. Man United finishing 6th in the Premier League is a bit underwhelming, but they did win trophies along the way. But Manchester City do win this little mini-series that I was doing. This is the finale, like the title will say, and that will do it for this little mini-series. Maybe I'll do it again with some other teams in the future, I'm not too sure. But let me know if you want that, and any other teams you want me to do it with. Could do it with like Barcelona and Real Madrid. I don't know. I'll see. Maybe not, maybe, who can know. But if you did enjoy it, please leave a like, subscribe if you are new. Like I said at the beginning, I upload videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. But yeah, that will do it. Stay safe guys, and we'll see you soon for another one. Goodbye.